Hey, welcome back to another episode of Mind Protein TV. I'm Ralph Plum.
And I'm Konrad Supielnikov.
In our opening segment, we're going to talk about how poor website design can actually hurt your online sales.
And then in our Lights On, Lights Off section, we're actually going to talk about the benefits of copying existing successful websites and what's working for other people.
Yeah, and to follow up in our Get Off Your Ass segment, we're going to talk about how you can evaluate your website from a customer's perspective to make sure you don't have any of those poor elements in your website design. In our first segment here today, we're going to talk about how poor website design can hurt your sales and making sure you do not have any of these strategies or concepts in your site.
Yeah, it's an important component of it, and really, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all about just people making purchases on your website. I mean, your website is probably one of the first places that people go to in order to kind of get acclimated and get an understanding what your business is all about. So, it can hurt not only your, buying online, right, for people coming to your website, but also, all of your rest of your business.
Sure, your general perception. So when you come to your site, when your customer's going to come to your site, if you have poor imagery, poor layout, it's difficult to navigate, they're not going to stick around very long, and they're not going to take you seriously, and they're not going to take your web presence seriously. So generally, when we talk about overall design, you have to make sure it's functional, you have to make sure that it's appropriate, the design, the imagery makes sense for you and your business. If you're a law firm, or if you're an online marketer, having pictures of unicorns everywhere isn't going to make much sense, right? So you got to make sure that imagery matches the website hand in hand. Now, when we talk more specifically about website design and how it can hurt sales directly, if you don't have your sales pages laid out in the proper format, if you don't have your sales pages and your offers out there for your customers to see, a lot of people get scared to sell. They don't put what their product or service is out there for sale right away. They have contact forms. If you have a product that you can list for sale at a particular price, have a shopping cart on your site and make sure they can purchase it directly off your site.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, people oftentimes come to your website and they're not going to spend a lot of time. So you want to have something highly impactful that they're looking at first, right? So some kind of free offer, being able to capture their information, being able to follow up and be in front of them and build that relationship. So even if they don't make a decision right there on the spot for the first time they show up on your website, maybe a month down the line, if you have a nice drip email campaign, they may come back and buy something, right? So make sure you give them something, or give them a reason to opt in, and so you can now follow through and build that relationship.
That's a great point. So just to summarize, there's really an indirect design that can hurt and a direct design that can hurt. So directly, if it's a poorly laid out, if there's not good use of imagery, if it's not a clean looking site, that's going to hurt your sales. But then also, you want to make sure that if you have a product or service you can sell directly, that your customer can buy it right from you right there on the site. And then the third point is, you want to make sure you name grab. So those people that aren't a customer comfortable from buying on your site, that you have an offer or something where you can capture their name. So whether it's a newsletter, whether it's a product, an entry-level product that you can give to them if they submit their email and their primary name, you can follow up. So there's both direct sales and indirect sales. Make sure your website takes into account these three elements so you don't hurt your online sales.
All right, and our Lights On, Lights Off section, actually we're going to talk about copying other successful websites, other successful people, and bringing in those elements into your website. What Ralph has been talking about, there's a lot of kind of, elements to consider, right, when improving your website. One of the best ways to do that is actually to go to your competitor websites or the giants in the industry, right, and seeing what it is that they're doing that is working, right. They oftentimes, as a small business, we don't have the resources to do all the surveying and checking out different variations of the websites. Well, go to the companies that have done the homework for you.
Yeah, and here's what I do. A lot of people, if you looked at my bookmarks on my computer, you think I'm freaking crazy. Because when I'm navigating the web, I might not be thinking about trying to improve my website all the time, but what I'm doing is, if I see a good site or good element of a site, I bookmark it, label it, and go back to it later when we're then meeting on it, trying to improve our site or trying to improve some of our students or coaching student sites. So it's always important. Don't necessarily have that in the back of your mind. If you see an element of a particular site that you're on, whether or not it's related to your niche or not, it can be directly related or not. Make sure you just bookmark it, go back to it later when you're looking to evaluate your site.
Yeah, what I like to do is create a folder on my computer and just have basically swipe files of websites, right? So each project has its own folder, and then in that folder, for example, for web design, I would have swipe files of all the websites that I like. So, because you're going to be coming across, a very valid point, different websites, throughout the course of, being online, etc. So you definitely want to do that. Anyway, this is a lights on, lights off section.
Yeah, but we're doing this is ridiculous. Obviously, this isn't lights on, lights off, as it typically is, but in this case, there really are no negatives to evaluating competitor sites, so it's clear lights on for this one. I mean, absolutely copy your competitors. Don't reinvent the wheel. Now, you don't want to obviously copy direct content. We're talking about layout and website design, elements that help increase sales, not through copy, but through overall design.
Very good point. And the last thing that I would want to say is if you have a web designer, you're working with a web designer, it's a lot easier to create a project if you give them examples, right? If they're looking at specific examples of other websites, it's going to be a lot easier to implement those into your website instead of trying to describe it and go back and forth.
Particularly if you're hiring a VA that doesn't speak very good English. I mean, in previous episodes, we talked about hiring VAs. You can get some great VAs through Odesk and Elance, sites like that. However, you need to make sure communication is key. Picture is worth 1,000 words. It's probably worth 1,000,000 words when you can't communicate in the same language. So make sure that you use swipe files and copy files for your developer for examples.
Ralph, bottom line, lights on.
For sure. Hey, welcome back. We're in our Get Off Your Ass segment. We're going to talk about a strategy that ties into our first segment about having poor site design hurting your sales. So here it goes. First thing you can do, act like a customer going through your site to evaluate it.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty simple, right? But I think a lot of times we'll set up the website and we'll just let it sit there, right? Go through your site and actually go through the entire process from start to finish, from just coming to your homepage to actually going through the process of checking out. You'll be amazed. You'll find some new things about your own website. But even better, if you can get either your family members or friends and give them direction, just say, hey, this is the type of product or service that you're looking for on my website, right? Go through my website and see how what your experience is and critique it. Give me some feedback so we can work on improving.
Yeah, and this also holds true for sales pages or squeeze pages as well as your primary website. So when you send out, let's say, a link to a webinar you're hosting, for instance, nice plug for the webinar product that we're coming out with really soon that can help you dominate that space. But no, more seriously, you send out the registration. Ask people that can give you really good feedback about the process of clicking the link, where they're sent to, what information they need to fill out. You're always personally, since you designed it or you led the project, you're always going to have that little bit that you always did it right, but always try to incorporate people that you know and trust that can give you honest feedback that you can understand either to fix that page or potentially take that strategy as you go forward.
Yeah, and one more thing. If you have other business owners that you are part of a group, etc. We love that mastermind concept, right?
Sure.
So if you have other people that that are in similar businesses, maybe different industry, get their feedback. There may be some things that they're doing in their websites that you haven't even thought about that will enhance your sales or your presence online. So don't just rely just on customers. Also, you can get some feedback from other people who are implementing similar or different strategies on their website.
So an action plan. Make sure you absolutely go out and find people you know and trust. Hopefully they're mastermind. Masterminds always are the best, the people that are in your space, that understand your business a lot better than sometimes either your customers or your friends and family might. But go out, get some great positive feedback as to how you can make your site more sales friendly, either up front and through purchasing decisions right on the site or through collecting email names so that you can market to them down the road.